Hello and welcome to a new episode of Accesa TechTalks. I'm your host, Radu Vingan, and today's conversation explores how credit risk plus automation equals real business and digital transformation. In this episode, we'll listen to a story from inside one of Europe's largest oil and gas companies, OMV. Joining me is Andreas Wallner, who's been driving credit risk operations at OMV and has also played a key role in a cross-country automation that actually started with only one robot and scaled to a strategic asset known as Clara. We'll explore how this journey began, what scaling automation across multiple countries really looks and feels like, how people adapt working together and alongside with bots, and what kind of impact this actually had within OMV. So Andreas, really great to have you with us today.
Thanks for having me, Radu. Good to see you.
Can you tell us about your background and your current role at OMV?
Of course. Basically, I was starting at OMV around 8 years ago. I was having different positions within the risk management environment, on the corporate level, doing regulations and stuff, on the operations, really working on assessments for customers. And now I'm in a divisional role where I'm trying to simplify, harmonize, and automate basically the credit risk at OMV's fuels and feedstock division.
Sounds exciting, and I'm sure the audience is curious to learn more about the context and your personal experience with the subject that we'll talk about today, which drives us to the first question. Tell us about your experience managing credit risks at OMV.
Of course. So basically, credit risk at OMV is one integral part that is part of the customer to cash cycle. So here we are really trying to keep the risks at a minimum. And basically, and I think this is actually core to more very close to my heart, is I want to keep the right risk for the right customers. And this is basically mitigating risk by still doing a lot of profit.
Why does OMV need a solution when it comes to credit assessment or credit risk assessment? Because OMV is not a financial company, it's an oil and gas company. I'm curious, what's the nature of this solution? Why do you need it? And what's the dynamic with the customers that use it?
Indeed. So basically, a lot of industry, including ours, are expected, I would say, by the customer to actually offer credit lines to the customers themselves, right? So whether it is 30 days or more that they can pay later than they actually get the delivery or pick up the fuels from somewhere. This is all a credit line that we are laying out. And this is very important that we are not only selling our products, but that we are as well getting the cash at the end of the day and to really cash in on our products. And this is why we are focusing as well to take the right risk overall. For me, credit risk does not really mean to actually take no risk or to mitigate any kind of risk, but to really take the right risk and the right customers.
And how come do you need an automated solution for that? Is the volume of these requests or these cases so high so that you need something like that?
Indeed, the business is steadily growing, right? And therefore, we actually need to stay on top of this workload. In addition, I have to say that the customer never sleeps. So in a nutshell, I can only say that we are bound to office hours here in credit risk as humans, but a robot basically never sleeps and therefore will be available in the mid of the night as well.
Mm-hmm. Interesting, really interesting. What kind of day-to-day challenges made your team start thinking about automation in the first place when it comes to credit risk?
So basically, you can see in business that speed is something very incredibly necessary. So we were starting with answering our requests in regards to credit risk on an email basis. But this is not enough. A customer that is in particular when he is requesting a Rutex or any other card for shopping at the mall, or in our case, shopping at the fueling station, right? Requesting, he doesn't want to wait for 1, 2, 3 days. He wants to have immediately an answer if he can become a customer or not. And this is what automation is better, because we have at one point in time a day an end to our shift, but the customer basically wants to request a card as well in the middle of the night.
And how did it all start? What was the transition from, I mean, how was the transition from manual work to automation at the beginning? How did the team experience it?
So basically, it was necessary to start the robotic activities and the automation, not only because of the speed, but it was as well necessary because we had new business coming in, new companies, new business units, and whatsoever. So the workload was increasing, and therefore I had the luck of having a very motivated team that was very eager to support this automation project. Moreover, we are always creating an annual target for ourselves, and in this year it was simplification, harmonization, and automation. Or as we were saying in a funny mode, because we are having a Spanish boss, we are saying simplificación, harmonización, and automatización, which is the same, right? But it makes more fun to the staff members. So this is the reason why we were starting with simplification. First of all, checking the processes and what we can actually make really simple. In the other hand side, then as well do the harmonization, because every single country had a different process flow. And finally, doing the automation itself. And this is what we are focusing here on. And this is as well where everyone was highly motivated to do so.
I can imagine it was very complex, as you mentioned. There are a lot of countries, or many countries, that were involved. What was one big highlight that you recall right now, be it positive or negative, from this whole automation experience?
I think it is the motivated team spirit that we had all along, yeah, and not just on the OMV side, with every country really being eager to improve the situation and make something positive, but as well with the Accesa team fully engaged and fully motivated to support OMV at its best. We had a lot of joy along the way, and this is actually what was really outstanding for me. It was more joy than really hard work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What was your first reaction when the idea of developing a robot came to play? I mean, a robot that will help you with your day-to-day activities. How did you imagine it in comparison to what actually became reality?
Well, I think my expectations were quite high, I have to admit. So in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning, a colleague of mine from the automation team came up to me and was introducing me to the topic AI and robotic support. And I was all in from the beginning. So I was saying, like, this is what we need. We need to improve ourselves by doing the things automatically as much as possible. So to a high degree, to actually have less error source potentials, or error potential in general, or and in addition to really speed up the process itself. So really high hopes from the beginning.
Okay, we know that today Clara helps with evaluating credit limits for both commercial and card portfolios, and that happens across multiple countries and also across multiple customer types. Which area saw the biggest change once automation was implemented?
That's actually a tough question, because I think every single profit center benefited from the robot itself. But I would actually go for the smaller customer limits. You have to imagine a truck company that only has a couple of drivers and is fueling across Europe. They are basically very limited in when it comes to credit risk overall, because your exposure to this customer is not too big. However, the benefit is that the robot has an easy game, because he just needs to perform a set of tasks, check some KPIs and whatsoever. And with that, you can give on a low scale actually an automatic response to the customer.
Mm-hmm. And I know there are multiple threads of robots here. Is it Is it right? Can you tell us a bit about the architecture?
So basically, within OMV, we actually have a number of robots, as Accesa certainly knows. The thing is, we wanted here on the west side of OMV, which is basically focusing on the markets in Austria, Czechia, Slovakia, and Hungary. We wanted to have one united robotic solution so that we are not having too many interfaces and not actually confusing the user in the end, but to really speed up the process and simplify it to the biggest extent possible. Before, we were developing as well in Romania a number of robots where we were focusing more on a modular approach to really gain the experience and improve the situation. There we have a couple of different robots in use that are all used for their certain profit center or for their certain whatever it is dedicated for, right? But that can cause, of course, confusion, which we wanted to avoid.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned it, and I also know that the solution started with the delivery team in Romania and then got scaled across, let's say, the wider business. Was the cross-country rollout successful? And if so, I hope it was. What made it work?
I would say so. So basically, I have to say I'm the one here now talking to you, but there was, of course, a big team in the background that was supporting the process all along and the implementation itself. However, I have to say that the rollout itself was working perfectly all right. On the one hand side, because Accesa was gaining a lot of experience over time, and on the other hand side, because we were having a test box basically with the Romanian portfolio where we could
Mm-hmm.
see how well it is working, how much you're benefiting from the automation, and therefore easily roll it out on the other countries. Though
Mm-hmm.
we were learning as well on our errors and we're correcting them in the rollout to the other countries significantly so that we are basically having a better solution overall.
Okay. Now the fun part. I'm curious how did OMV employees respond to working alongside automated solution? Was there any resistance? What was their feedback and their vibe?
Very differently, actually. So basically, I have to say that the risk team, as I was mentioning earlier already, was very motivated and was very eager to see what the robot can do and how it can support. From the sales side, we actually had a bit of a resistance in the beginning because they were fearing that there would be additional workload. And with hiccups at the beginning of the process, of course, there is some additional workloads that you're facing. And that was giving a bit of a resistance. But I can clearly feel that up until now, we see a huge benefit on all sides because even the salespeople see now that they can request basically on the road every minute a limit, and they will immediately get the feedback from Clara.
Mm-hmm. When do you have a human in the loop, or how does it interact now with humans?
So basically, the limit start itself always needs to be done by a human, whether it is from another system that is triggering the request to Clara, or whether it is a physical human that is filling a power amp and is with that starting the limit request itself. After
Mm-hmm.
that, we are aiming for the most automation grade as possible with having a robot even taking the final decision. However, in a lot of cases where we are actually a bit hesitant to allow an automatic approval, we are then having a final approval being set by a credit risk manager, so a human, that is actually then even overruling sometimes the responses. What I have seen now from 2025 on, basically, I think we have an automation rate that is more than half, which is already quite a good level, but which will further increase in the future, I'm sure.
Okay. And up to what point do you want to increase that percentage?
Ideally, we would go to 90% and beyond, right? So whatever is possible and is clearly backed up by any guidance that is officially the regulation in the company, it's good to have it automized. Whatever
Mm-hmm.
is bringing some kind of a threat or whatever is bringing some kind of concerns should finally land with a human that is actually having a second thought.
Mm. Now let's assess the impact. Looking back, What was the ROI, the return on investment of this initiative, of this project? And I'm also curious, what was the initially set ROI for the project?
So basically, as you can imagine, in big corporates, you always need to provide some kind of a business plan and what it will be in the end and how you will be benefiting from it. This is what we did as well. So we were taking the number of customers that we are having. We were estimating the number of minutes that each of these cases is approximately taking a human in the mean time. So basically a human resource in the meantime. And with that, we were then calculating what would be the savings that we are having there. But what was always our intention was not to save really on the human capital or whatsoever, but to really speed up and on the other hand side, free up the resources to do the job that is actually more important, to do analysis, to do some developments on the credit risk and so on.
Mm-hmm. Then what are the metrics, the main metrics, the key metrics of that, of calculating the ROI for you?
For me, it's really the time saving that we are having overall.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, it is really the number of requests that we are performing with the time that we are saving for each of these requests. And having that done now for the first half of 2025, we are really exceeding our expectations when it comes to that because the number of requests was going up due to new business that we are making. And on the same time, the number or basically the minutes that we are using for it has significantly decreased.
Mm-hmm.
And did you meet or exceed the expectations of this project?
We definitely exceeded, yeah, what we were planning for. So this is as well the reason why we are very happy and why we are road showing it throughout the company, what you can do with robotic or automation support overall, because it's really just giving you a benefit and frees up resources to do something that is more valuable in the end.
Mm. In order to implement this solution, you've also worked with internal resources at OMV, but you also partner up with us, with Accesa. So I'm looking forward to finding out how you would rate the collaboration with Accesa and why.
In this case, I cannot say anything else than 10, right? No, just staying serious. So basically, I was having with our team from Accesa side a short checkup recently, and we were making fun of rating itself because we were saying that in the end, it should always be a 9 because there is room for improvement ahead. No,
Exactly.
but staying serious with you, we are very happy with Accesa overall because the experience, the spirit that the team has brought to the table, and together with our team that was highly motivated, it was really rather a joy than work.
Hmm. And if we were to break it down, what was one ingredient that made our involvement successful for you or impactful for you?
It was basically the missing piece of the puzzle, right? I would say. So
Okay.
basically, I had the operational team on my side that was aware of how the process overall works. We had the automation team in-house that was very keen on improving and having as well the setup overall improved. And Accesa was simply bringing the technical skills as well as the translation skills from business to techniques that was finally giving the success to the whole process.
Hmm. I also appreciated a lot because I saw how the team developed during these years, and it can be clearly seen how they also learned a lot from how you approach projects, how you approach also the calculating the ROI and making decisions based on some clear metrics and not just gut feeling, right? And this organized, structured manner was inspiring for the team, and I saw them, I experienced them incorporate that in their daily technical operations.
Mhm.
So this business acumen they've learned with this collaboration, and it was I would say exciting to see and to watch, to experience that. Yeah. because I need to return something, and I feel the need to
Indeed.
return something for your
And
nice
thanks
words.
for that. Yeah, I mean, I'm very happy that we were having such a good cooperation overall.
Yeah. Um, good. Now let's wrap it up with a fun one. If Clara were a real person on your team, what title should she deserve based on what value she brought so far?
If you're really taking the value, she would be the superhero of the team. That's very
Yeah.
very clear. Yeah, but I think we should go back as well to what was our intention. We had many years where these kind of standardized process steps were done by supported by interns, on the other hand side done by actually lower levels of employees, and therefore as well the intern function would work in a certain way, because this is hard work but standardized work where you just need to stay focused and do some calculations basically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If another department at OMV would come up and say, we're thinking about building our own solution, our own Clara, what would your advice be?
First of all, I would tell them not to use Clara because Clara is ours, right? So this is certainly a copyrighted some kind
She's
of.
our superhero, right?
Exactly. So basically, that's the reason why I would tell them to find their own name. But I would only suggest to create their own robot, because in the end, it really supported us a lot overall, with saving time, freeing up the resources for something more important, and still having a less prone to error setup where a robot is basically much more keen on than the human could ever be.
And what is the future of robotics in credit risk?
So basically, we have a good setup right now, but there are even more functions that keep us busy on a daily level. Yeah, so where we are having highly standardized process steps that could be easily taken over from a robot and therefore easily automized. And this is what we are aiming for. Yeah, to still do good business cases where we want to have, on the one hand side, some saving, on the other hand side, some quality improvements as well.
Great. Andreas, if you would like to share with us anything else that we didn't speak about.
Nothing that comes to my mind immediately, except for that I'm really thankful that I was part of this journey together with Accesa and the OMV team, that were really highly engaged, highly motivated, and really aiming for an improvement of every single situation.
Thanks for the kind words, and back at you. We're also thankful for this collaboration, and we are looking forward to what's to come. Thanks again for being here today with us and sharing from your experiences, because this actually wraps up this episode of Accesa TechTalks. So again, Andreas, thank you very much for being here with us today.
Thank you, Radu.
It's clear that success in automation isn't just about the tech. It's also about, or a lot more about, the people, the process, and how you scale responsibly, and who you partner with. If you found this episode valuable, please subscribe on Bright Talk, and also follow Accesa on LinkedIn and YouTube for more expert conversations on digital transformation and on real life innovation. Stay curious. See you soon. Bye.